it seems you can do anything in American football short of using a Tommy gun, so you mustn't expect me to explain the rules. The players wear so much clothing, it's a wonder they can move at all.
Obviously, when Kurt Warner puts his body of work together, at the end of it, you look at it and you go, what were you people thinking? How could you miss on this? But he went to Northern Iowa.
Warner received Conference Player of the Year honors in his 1 year as a starter, but received nothing more from the NFL than a free agent invitation to Packers camp in 1994.
He goes off to make $6 an hour at the Hy-Vee grocery store.
I mean, what's a quarterback who can't stock a shelf?
This is Any Given Wednesday, the NFL podcast where two overseas fans delve into the NFL's glorious past in an attempt to greater understand its fascinating present. So, whether you're still struggling to tell your wild cat from your wild card, or you're someone for whom the playoff picture makes complete sense, this is the podcast for you. I'm Tom Parry. And if I'm the solid and steady DC who can hold a team to under 20 points a game, then he is my genius offensive coordinator who is piling on the points and revolutionizing the game. He paints beautiful patterns with his X's and O's and believes you can't play the game tight. You've got to let it all hang out.
Oh, believe.
It's the greatest show on Mirth. It's Mr. Mike Bubbins.
Oh, that's good, that. Well done, mate. Thank you, Tom.
How are you,
God,
buddy?
you must spend. How long do you spend on the intros?
Oh, minutes, mate. Minutes.
Minutes more than I spend on prep, so well done you.
I spend the time it takes for you to remember that we're recording.
Well, let's smash the fourth wall because my eyesight, these are my glasses. You know, I never wear them because they make me feel old, right?
Oh, mate.
So my Google Calendar says AGW, any given Wednesday, 100. I thought, okay, great. So I sat here, just farting around in my office, doing some bits and bobs. Just about to go and watch the cricket. Phone call from Tom Parry. Hiya, mate. How you doing? All good for the day? Yeah. It's 11:15.
Waiting. It's 11:15, mate.
Oh, right. That's an 11, not a 1. So here we go. So I haven't got a Packers top on for once. I haven't had a chance to prep.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my. Can I show it? My Utah Mammoth. Yeah.
The Utah Mammoth, for obvious reasons. Mammoth Series 2 out this week.
Yeah, this will every Monday in December, and the iPlayer, of course. Don't forget.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
promo.
Yeah. Also, here's a bit of pod promo for us and a bit of love for our listeners. I've just got asked to go and do the Channel 5 show, American football show on Sunday night.
Oh, have you?
The Packers Bears. So it'll be me, Sam, and Osi Umenyiora on Sunday. And the producer just rang up for a little chat and asked all about Any Given Wednesday. So I'll be giving this a bit of love on Sunday, mate.
Here we go.
I'll be giving this a bit of love.
Get Osi to come on board.
Oh, my God. Well, that would be a dream.
Have a chat with Osi. Yeah.
He probably remembers the first time I met him on the sideline in Spurs. I shouldn't imagine if...
Oh, yeah. He'll remember
He'll probably embrace me as soon as I see him. He said, Mike, where the hell have you been? It seems like a lifetime ago I met you in Spurs Stadium for 3 seconds on the sideline.
Well, that's going to be brilliant. Oh, well, there we go.
The only downside...
the hell out of us, buddy.
Well, I'm going to. But the only downside is...
Yeah.
You know I'm a vain man.
Hey, come on now.
Well, I'm pretty vain. For no good reason these days. That's the thing. And
in spite of everything, you remain vain.
Yeah. In the face of public opinion and common sense. Then I've got to sit next to frigging Osi Umenyiora and Sam Quek. Yeah. I'm going to look like... Well, I'm going to look like Danny DeVito in Twins for like 4 hours. Brilliant.
Just not going to breathe out.
Just finished
3 hours.
Just self-esteem crushed as I leave the studio. He's a good-looking man, isn't he?
Oh, sublime.
Beautiful shoulders on him.
Yeah.
And when he stopped playing, he just kept himself in great shape.
Yeah.
So he's not football shape anymore. He looks athletic.
I've been in the same room as him as well. I was at an award ceremony where they won the award, and I was just around him, and he's got an aura, man. You know, like some people have just got that. He's got such an aura about him.
Yeah,
greatness.
So look forward to that. But I'm gonna be bigging up this podcast, bigging up you, and then trying my best to get one of the finest New York Giants of all time to come on the podcast. That's the plan.
Absolutely. 2-time Super Bowl winner?
2-time, yeah. They were the first wild card team to win a Super Bowl, weren't they? That first Giants team with Eli. They were the first team to go from the wild card to the big show.
I did not know that. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the big show, this week we're going to be looking at the Rams. Now the LA Rams, but back in the day, the St. Louis Rams. And we're going to be
you said that as only an English person could say it, by the way.
What's that, St. Louis?
St. Louis.
St. Louis? Is it St. Louis?
Because it would be, if you were French, it'd be Saint Louis.
Saint Louis.
Right? Saint Louis. If you were American, it'd be St. Louis.
There you go.
If you're English, you go St. Louis. You combine the two. Oh, no, mate. Yeah, the St. Louis Rams, yeah.
We're going to be looking at the greatest show on turf. And
great name, isn't it?
Yeah, amazing. And one of the best Cinderella stories in sport, the story of their quarterback.
And one of the nicest
Kurt
people
Warner.
by the sound of it in sport.
Yeah,
what a gem of a man.
There's some great stories to be told
At the time of recording, I don't know, some of them might happen, I don't know.
You always have to prove.
At the time of recording, what a wonderful bloke Kurt Warner is.
But before we get there, you watched much football this week? Did you get a chance to?
Yeah. I saw. We were the Thursday night game, so we Thursday this week.
I think we've recorded since then. So we recorded the day after that.
Sorry, mate, we did. So I watched it on Sunday, but with all the pressure off, that was nice.
It was nice, wasn't it? And a huge game coming up this week.
My boy's a big Rams fan, so I tend to keep an eye on the Rams. And they lost in the last minute, but that was a hell of a game of football, that Rams game. Did you watch it?
Yeah, it was incredible.
What a game that was.
Yeah.
Oh, the NFL's thrown some great fixtures up this year, mate. Some of the scores, some of the teams. I was talking on that production meeting just now about the Packers. Because they're playing the Bears on the weekend. And he said, any memorable Bears-Packers moments? I said, well, to be fair, I don't mean to sound big-headed, but I got into football in the 80s, and then there wasn't a lot on TV, and the Bears were in the Super Bowl, and back in the Jim McMahon days. And then I got back into football just before Brett Favre joined the Packers. So we went Favre, Rodgers, Love. We've been in the playoffs nearly every year.
Yeah.
Been so spoiled. And in that time, Detroit have been usually not very good. Chicago have been usually not very good.
Yeah.
Minnesota are up and down. So this year, for the first time, all those games mean something. The NFC North is a mad division this year.
It's the best division in football, yeah.
It is. And if I think about the way that tip of the hat to the schedulers was the way it's panning out at the end as well. We got to play the Bears twice, and it's all to play for, mate. It's all to play for, and that hasn't been the case in a lot of other years. So the problem is those really exciting games, those sort of must-win games, are the ones that put the grey hairs on the moustache, Tom. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The tension when it gets around to in those tight games is intense.
Yeah. Do you watch much?
Yeah, I watched a fair bit. I mean, what's interesting me at this time of year is this thing of, about the playoff picture, because the NFL does work in quite a mysterious way in that regard, in that you can have a team that aren't having that great a season, but because they've won all their divisional matches, even though their record might not be great, they are going to be straight into the playoffs. Yeah. And so there is a really, and the Packers, it feels like we're having a decent season, but until we've played the Bears twice, which is going to happen in the next 3 weeks, we're not going to really know whether it might, in 3 weeks' time, it might prove that we're having an outstanding season.
You could end up 10-7 and not get the playoffs,
which is so odd to me.
And you could end up 7-10 and win your division and go to the playoffs.
Yeah. And it is part of the unique landscape of the NFL in that some teams can have an incredibly easy schedule, because obviously you're not playing every team in the NFL each season. No. And so a team...
If you've got a weak division...
You can be in a weak division.
I'm not knocking the Patriots record was fantastic, but I've got to be fair, that AFC East for years wasn't very good.
Exactly.
The Bills weren't very good. The Dolphins weren't very good. The Jets have never been very good since Joe Namath days. Yeah. So, they won the division every year. Then you get good seedings if you win the division.
Yeah.
Obviously, they've got to win the games in the playoff. I'm not taking anything away from what they did, but it was a nice division to be in for 10 years.
So if you're in the NFC North currently, which the Packers are, then they've got to play the Lions and the Bears and the Vikings twice a season. And none of those teams are pushovers. I know the Vikings aren't in a rich vein of form. But it's just very interesting that every team is having kind of a different season ahead of them.
But also you will then, so that gives you 6 games. You've still got 11 games to make up. So then you'll play another division in your conference and a division in the other conference. So depending on the year, you might play a really strong division, either home or away, for 4 games. And then you play another really strong division in the AFC, home and away for 4 games. So, you could end up with 6 really tough divisional games and then 4 really tough games in your division and 4 really tough games in the other division. And other teams could have a completely opposite schedule.
Yeah, like you look at, for example, so if you look at the AFC West and you've got the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Raiders. Now, and then you go, well, that's a tough division because you've got to be playing, like their teams that are tough, the Chargers, the Broncos, the Chiefs. They're tough matchups. And then, but if you're in the AFC South and it's the Texans, the Colts, the Jags, and the Titans, and it's just like, well, that is a completely different season. You're essentially playing. It's like the championship football, really, as opposed to Premier League for the vast majority of your season. I find it very. It's just an odd kind of quirk, I guess, of the way the NFL's run.
But then the playoffs as well. I just think there's so much that works well in the NFL. And then, so I love baseball. I don't watch a lot of hockey these days, but when I lived over in Canada, I watched a lot of hockey. There's such long regular seasons. You can almost miss games in the regular season. It's not a big deal. You can go on losing runs and as a fan, you can miss a load of games. Football, 17 games. So the regular season counts. Every game counts. There's no, you lose a couple of games, you start to get in trouble, right? Nothing like baseball and hockey, and to a lesser extent basketball. So the season counts, and then the playoffs are properly meaningful. Yeah. So I know a lot of mates of mine who are hockey fans who don't really watch hockey, the NHL, to the playoffs. Because the regular season just takes so long and there's so many games that don't seem to mean a great deal. Same with the baseball. But football, such a short season. Yeah. But from beginning of September to the Super Bowl in beginning of Feb, it's just full on it.
I think that a change I would make if it was up to me.
And it should be, by the way.
Thank you.
I will back you.
That. The Magnetic Helmets Committee is meeting again.
Get them in.
We've not been successful in the past, but we're going to keep on putting ideas up there. But I think this kind of old-fashioned system of the AFC and the NFC not meeting until the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I would row back on that now. And I think once you get to playoffs, I would have the NFC being able to play the AFC right from the first round of the playoffs, because I do think keeping them separate now, it just feels very old-fashioned. It feels it belongs to a different time.
And also, you'll never have those matchups in the biggest game of the season. And I think there's been long periods of time in the NFL where one conference dominates.
Yeah.
I remember for about 10, 15 years, an NFC team won the Super Bowl. It was mad because it went 49ers, Cowboys, Washington, the Giants, the Bears. I mean, the AFC weren't getting a look in. So every year, the NFC Championship game was the best game of the season.
Yeah, those Cowboys, 49ers kind of classics. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I always felt bad for those teams that lost an NFC Championship game because that was the biggest game of the season.
Yeah.
And you could say the same. I'm trying to think now.
It's been that way with the AFC recently.
Chiefs and Patriots. There's your Super Bowl there. Brady against when it was like Mahomes against Brady.
Yeah. I know. So, that's the way it's felt recently. Is like because of
they have talked about that, actually, Tom. The Tom Parry plan has been discussed in the past.
That's good to know. I'm finally breaking through.
Because you just know that if you're a Packers fan, the huge derby would be a Packers-Vikings Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
Or a Packers-Cowboys. Go back to the history. Packers-Cowboys Super Bowl. That'll never happen. It can't happen.
Absolutely.
Right, let's get it changed, mate. Magnetic helmets wasn't a great idea, but this is.
Yeah, that's good. That's gone through.
How would you do it, though? Would you just literally go on seeding into the playoffs?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think you need to look at that anyway, because I think the way the seeds come out and the way the playoff picture emerges, it isn't always that balanced. And like you said, like you can have a losing record, win your division.
When you win your championship, you get the presentation there when you win your championship game, AFC or NFC, right? And they give you a trophy, and it's all very nice, but it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
no one remembers that, right? So, what about compromise? You play the games, you have your wild card rounds, you have your divisional rounds, but then when you get to the last four, it just becomes a semi-final. So we just go.
They do a draw.
Yeah, or you keep your seats, whatever.
Yeah.
Not a bad shout, Tom.
Yeah, I like that. I like the way you think. There's a couple more things that I liked. I've got a question for you, but before I get to that, Joe Burrow, who is the Bengals quarterback, and I mean, for my money, he's one of the great quarterbacks of our time. He's a phenomenal player, and they interviewed him at the start of the game, and they said, Are you nervous, Joe? You know, you back from injury? And he said, his quote was, look, we get paid a lot of money to play a kid's game. So I'm just going to go out and enjoy myself. And I was like, I really like that.
That's your name with approach. I like that.
We get paid a lot of money to play a kid's game.
Well, throw forward, mate, to the doc we'll talk about in a minute, or the player and then the season of the team. I think Kurt Warner had a lot of that in him as well, you know?
Yeah.
We should say, by the way, the premise, so every week we're going to pick a different franchise and we're going to look at an aspect of that franchise. Could be a coach, a season, a Super Bowl, a move, a player, a trade. Could be anything.
Yeah.
Could be anything. And today we're doing the Rams. So I've enjoyed him. I'm really enjoying the season, to be honest. But
it's
because of work,
season. Yeah.
The Sunday Night Club has been in hiatus for a while. And obviously I'm recording this Sunday, so that can't happen. But then I'm hoping, mate, that our guest of honour in the playoffs is going to be a certain Tom Parry's going to come up.
Yeah, that's the plan. We're going to
stay at the chateau for the night.
Absolutely right. That's it.
You know, you'll be staying where we record. This is currently the spare bedroom. You'll be sleeping in the studio.
Oh my God! There we go.
Okay. Clean bed in the lot. Your own towel. No messing about.
Yeah, we'll get some. We'll record some content live from the bar when it gets to the playoffs.
Oh, we got to do that, mate.
Yeah.
I was telling the Channel 5 bloke earlier. Nice fellow, Mike. I was saying, I was explaining the bar to him, and he was quite blown away. I said, also, I've just had put into the bar, and please don't tell my wife how much they cost. Green Bay Packers stained glass windows. It is literally a cathedral to the Packers.
They're a thing of beauty.
Oh man.
Are they going to they should get that on camera before.
Well, I'm going to film it out before I'll take it up with me. Right. Yeah. I'll dress it, and then I'll take a nice video.
And here's my final question for you.
Come on.
For some reason, because I've wanted to know this for a long time. I haven't even Googled it, but every so often, a player will go off injured because of a stinger.
Right.
And they'll go, oh, they've got a stinger.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound that serious, a stinger. It sounds a bit like a dead leg.
No, it's not.
But they
don't call that a dead leg, by the way.
No,
they call it a Charlie horse for reasons best known to them.
What? Americans call a dead leg a Charlie horse?
It's called a Charlie horse. Yeah. I'm not making this up, by the way.
Okay. That's okay. Do you know? And you don't know why?
Google it. I don't know why.
So what's a stinger, Mike?
So a stinger is basically a compression in the spine. So it's if you get head-to-head contact, or your chin gets forced down to your chest quickly, or you jam into a tackle, it is that pinching of the nerves and usually in the neck area of the spine. So you get that real twinge of pain. You get that stiffness. You might get that temporary pins and needles numbness. I've had a stinger in rugby. They're effing scary because you think you broke your neck. So it's basically a compression injury,
Right. Okay.
of the upper part of the spine where you pinch the nerves or the if they're in the spine, and you have to be very careful with a stinger because you might have cracked a bone in the vertebrae, you might have done something.
Right. Yeah.
You know. And to be fair, the NFL these days, they don't mess about when it comes to head injuries and spine injuries.
Yeah,
stingers, they're no fun, mate. I've only done it once, and it wasn't very nice.
Great.
But obviously, in rugby, you don't hit with the head, whereas in football, you hit with the head all the time.
Yeah.
So it's an issue. It's an issue.
There you go. Good to know.
There it is. That's a stinger. Did you find out about the Charlie horse? Did you Google it?
They don't know the exact origins, but it originated from baseball. There's a couple of players back in the late 90s, like 1880, started using it.
There we go.
And that's where it originated from.
When I played rugby in Canada and I got a dead leg, and someone said, have you got a Charlie horse? I said, what are you talking about? Yeah, dead leg.
Might be able to get some for you. Oh.
Is there some carrots? What?
I'm injured. Right, well, let's get into, as always, we'd love you to get in touch. Oh, and also what we should talk about is we've got our YouTube page. If you can subscribe to that, there's all our videos are on there and some great clips that producer Rhys puts together. So get along to YouTube.
We're starting to get a bit of traction, Tom. We're starting to get a bit of traction.
You can feel it.
Our love of the game is starting to, people are coming on board.
I know.
So spread the word, get on the YouTube channel, get clicking, get subscribing, listen to the pod, follow the pod properly, spread the word if you love the NFL.
And just as we are building this momentum, we are going to be taking a couple of weeks off for Christmas, and for producer Rhys to go to Disneyland, which is
very NFL, to be honest.
I was going to say it's good. It's in the tradition. I'm
going to Disneyland. Yeah, I think we should make Rhys before the end of the show say, "I'm going to Disneyland."
Yeah,
just like they do in the Super Bowl.
The final clip of the podcast should be that.
Rhys has got to say, "I'm going to Disneyland," and then we'll
And did that start because of Disneyland? Was it like a sponsorship thing that they had?
Yeah. It was that I think the MVP got to go to Disneyland with the family the week after the Super Bowl.
That's right. Yeah.
All expenses
so now
paid.
It's kind of a grand tradition, and once the Super Bowl's been decided, the QB looks down.
So that'll be Rhys' sign off, and then we'll be back. We'll be back in a week or two, won't we?
Yeah. We'll be back in the new year.
Watch some more clips of the Pro Bowl, realise what an absolute pile of wank it is, and then come back to listen to the podcast. We should do it. We've got to do an
episode dedicated. We'll do an episode about the Pro Bowl. I think we should, because it is weird and interesting.
Such a weird idea.
It is a weird idea, and it's kind of evolved as well as time's gone on. Now it's kind of it's not even a proper game of
flag football and
flag football and
tiddlywinks and
throwing competitions and
drinking a yard of ale. There's all sorts. It's not football. I tell you what it isn't. It isn't football.
It's an odd beast.
It was back in the day. We'll talk about this when we do our Pro Bowl special. It was.
We'll do a Pro Bowl special the week before the Super Bowl.
It was also an All-Star game back in the day. When in the 60s, I think, when the college All-Stars would play the NFL champions.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Like an all-American college team would play the NFL champions pre-Super Bowl.
Ah.
Yeah.
Well, I love that. We'll look into that. But yeah, get in touch, leave your messages. And if you want to leave us a voice note, then you can get hold of us via our SpeakPipe. There's a link in the show notes. And we've got a couple of SpeakPipes today, Bubs.
Have we indeed?
Yeah. So
this has been good. This is a good idea of old Disneyland Waters, this, wasn't it?
Disneyland Waters, I like.
That's got to be his new name, isn't
it? Yeah, definitely.
That's his. Never mind prime time or Hollywood. He's Disneyland Waters.
That's staying. That is staying. All right, Disneyland, can we have the first SpeakPipe, please?
Hi, Tom and Mike. My name's Gareth. I live in Fleet in Hampshire. A bit like Mike, I have a background in rugby and also in American football. Played in the back row, rugby union, and in the offensive line in American football for a London team back in the 80s. In the noughties, I lived in Jersey City, just across the Hudson from New York.
Oh, yeah.
And picked up the New York Jets as my NFL team, which has been a millstone around my neck ever since. I'd just be interested to hear your view of how a team like the Jets, who continually get high-level draft picks for obvious reasons, continual failure, how they continue to be so poor despite the pick of the bunch coming into the team every year, elite coaching, every facility that you could possibly want, and yet still continue to disappoint us poor, hapless fans who always hope for the best and never seem to see it. Keep up the good work, boys. Really enjoying the pod.
Oh, lovely. Thanks, Gareth. Thank you very much, mate.
Great.
Ex-member of the back row union, like myself. Good boy.
Yeah.
And then somehow roped into the offensive line.
I know.
From a glamour position of rugby into the offensive line. You should have played tight end or running back, Gareth. What are you doing? I've been intrigued to know which team, because I should know all the teams in the 80s, the British teams. So London would have had the Streatham Olympians, the London Ravens. I think they were the London Blitz.
So would you have played, is there a chance you would have played against?
Then have teams like the Crawley Raiders. No, I never played adult. I played university American football for a season. For the University of Wales College Cardiff Cobras, the WCC Cobras.
Well, there is talk of
Go Cobras.
Once we start doing Patreon content, one of the episodes being about your playing career, and we'll do a deep dive.
I'll dig out the cuttings.
Yeah, as if they're not just right there.
Here's one.
Oh, here they are.
They're framed. I remember they're framed now. Yeah. Was I any good? Not for me to say. But in the words of First Down magazine, the weekly NFL publication for the UK American football fans, after that, the game was all Bubbins.
There we go.
Right, Gareth makes a good point here about the Jets, and I've got a theory. I got two theories.
I've got a couple of theories. Go on, let's hear them.
One is people don't realise how important the front office is, the general manager and the scouting and the draft. So if they've been making poor decisions in the draft or poor trades, then that's going to massively impact your team. Doesn't matter where you pick. Doesn't matter if you got the first pick. If you don't get it right at the draft in all your rounds and your free agency, you're going to struggle. So I think there's probably a front office problem at number one. Number two, weirdly, I was just talking about the new Bears coach to Mike from Channel 5, and he was saying, "What do you think of him?" I said, "Yeah."
Oh, Ben Johnson.
I said, what I like about Chicago, having been there once very briefly and then last year for a few days, but always had a sort of a soft spot for the city. I really love Chicago as a place. But they're massive football fans. Go back to the old Saturday Night Live sketches with Butkus and the Bears, right?
Yeah.
So you give people enough time to develop, right? Even if they're in inverted commas a bad coach. And let's not forget, you don't get an NFL coaching job by being a bad football coach.
No.
You would have at the very least excelled at college as at the coaching, or you would have worked your way through the NFL ranks positionally and
as
then
a defensive or offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
That's what Ben Johnson's done. Ben Johnson's dazzled at Detroit Lions, transformed the offense. And then that's the question is, can you then step up to be a head coach?
Well, that's the thing. When you've got a great head coach like the Lions have got, part of that is building a team around you. And part of building a team around you is really putting a lot of faith and trust in your coordinators and letting them, and then the other side of that sword is they get head coaching jobs. So,
well, it's quite apropos of what we're going to talk about in shortly as well with the Greatest Show on Turf, which was, an incredible offensive coordinator who stepped up to be head coach and was probably a better offensive coordinator than they were head coach, actually.
But also
the team's building skills that you need and the man management isn't necessarily there.
And in that Football Life doc that I watch about Kurt Warner, which I'll talk about, seeing the number of, because it was 25 years ago now, the number of faces there that went on to become big coaches, So anyway, there's the front office, but New York, unlike Chicago, is a real, and it's a cliche, but it's such a goldfish bowl when it comes to sports, right? And you get no time. Yeah.
That's what I was going to say.
It is, if you lose your first 4 games of the season in New York, you're on the hot seat. There's a good chance you're not going to see November. Right?
Yeah.
It's just a crazy place. It's
the pressure on those places, the Giants and the Jets.
Yeah,
is extreme.
because there's no reason that the Jets would have been so poor for so long. They had a bit of a renaissance in the 80s with Gastineau and a few people. But he seemed like and Jets fans might hate me for this. Gastineau seemed like a very New York sort of player. He was quite a selfish player, Gastineau. He was all about getting the sacks and how many sacks I've gotten. It was almost like sacks were more important than the team and the defense. Okay. And throw forward to the dock when Larry Fitzgerald, who I flipping loved as a receiver, wants to get his 100 yards, and Kurt Warner says, "Yeah, but let's win the game. Let's win the game." That's the important thing, right? So I don't think that there's any sort of, the old phrase, a New York minute. It is like that in New York. The light turns green at the traffic lights. Someone is on their horn behind you within about within a tenth of a second. So if you don't get going quickly in New York, you're gone. And I don't think that's the way that you build success.
And it's the old adage as well that, like, the worst time to be drafting a quarterback is when you're in dire need of a quarterback. Like, and when you look at the franchises that are well run, that's why I find, obviously being a Packers fan, the time that Aaron Rodgers was drafted, It was like, oh, this is controversial because we've got Brett Favre. When Jordan Love was drafted, this is controversial because you've got Aaron Rodgers. And it's like, it isn't controversial. It's great. It's how you should be done, because then Aaron Rodgers can sit for 3 years, learn from Brett Favre.
But what you've got to do then 3 years is have an experienced coach that can put an arm around your starting quarterback and get you to play at the top level, knowing they've drafted a quarterback in the first round.
Absolutely. And again, that's throwing forward
real coaching.
Kurt Warner did that. There were several times where Kurt Warner would arrive at a franchise knowing that was why he'd been brought in, they've just drafted a number one QB. There's going to be a bit of a quarterback battle in camp, but we want you to teach them and show them. And it's like, the Jets don't have the opportunity to do that. And what you do have, and I really feel sorry for them, is you have these, first pick of the draft QBs who are thrown into teams that there's a reason they were picking first. It's because they haven't got an offensive line, or and so you're suddenly under so much pressure in the first 4 or 5 games in front of an offensive line that can't really hold up, and you're deemed a failure really quickly,
There's another thing, I love good questions. Well done, Gareth, because this is making me think as well, right? Something just popped into my brain as well. And it goes back to me when I was in Green Bay, right? You could buy an absolute mansion in Green Bay for $1 million, right? For $2 million, it would be something else, right?
Yeah.
In New York, you couldn't buy an apartment for $1 million.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the teams have got a salary cap. So if you're playing in New York, your players have got to be in and around New York. Your money goes an awful lot less far in New York than it does in anywhere else in America, including Los Angeles. So that has to impact you when it comes to salary negotiations.
Yeah.
It must be hard to maintain a strong roster when everyone wants to make New York money and you're getting paid the same. Your team's getting the same amount of money out of the central pot as Green Bay are getting, and the same as Indianapolis are getting. Yeah. I never thought of that before, but it must be so hard. Okay, you got the first draft pick as your crap, and then you sign it changed slightly with what you can pay rookies these days, but they're going to want good money. Everyone wants New York money in New York.
Yeah,
and you can't do it. I never thought of that before. You can live in Green Bay if you're on an NFL salary in Green Bay, you're living like a king, right?
Yeah,
and having spare money, and I didn't think of that. Thanks for making me think about that, Gav. But that's part of it, I think.
Yeah,
I think when you look at baseball, you say, yeah, but look at how come the Yankees are successful all the time? Well, because there's no salary cap.
There's no salary cap. Yeah, they spend.
And the Yankees spend an awful lot more than anybody else.
Yeah. You can buy a World Series, can't you? Really, in baseball, that's the way it is. Great question. Great SpeakPipe. Thank you, Gareth. I'm sure we'll be hearing from you again at some point. Let's have our final SpeakPipe of the year.
Oof.
Hi, Tom and Bubbs. It's Sam. Absolutely fantastic podcast. Really enjoying it. I'm a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and have been for about 20 years or so. Going back from when I was a kid and visiting family in Pittsburgh. And as a young Middlesbrough fan, they said, we've got a team for you. So I picked up the Steelers from there. And my wife is also a Wolves fan, so clearly the colours of black and gold follow me around. Converted a few mates over the years to the good word of the NFL, including one mate who asked me to find the worst team of 1985 because his team, Stoke, had finished bottom of the league that year. So he's now gladly a Buffalo Bills fan. So just wanted to suggest, you probably already got your episode sorted, but wanted to suggest the Super Bowl XL season for the Steelers. I think it was 2006, complete fairy tale year. Started the playoffs in 6th seed and went on to win it. Jerome the Bus Bass, retiring in Detroit, his hometown. Bill Cowher winning it after being at the Steelers over 10 years at that point. Just absolutely amazing season. So one maybe you want to look into. Cheers, lads. Brilliant pod. Thanks very much.
Top man, Sam.
Love that. Great. And it's very fitting here, someone with a Northeast accent being a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, isn't it? It kind of fits. It's a good fit, that is.
But also Wolves in the family, mate. Bit of Wolves in the family as well.
Well, and also, Wolves have just stolen Middlesbrough's manager from Rob Edwards. So imagine there's a bit of tension in the house.
Yeah, I should imagine so. God, my sister would love us to do a big Pittsburgh special.
Yeah, we'll look at
that. Now, there's a football town. They love it.
Well, early doors in the first series, we looked at the Steel Curtain, didn't we? And
we did.
The kind of the Steelers of the 70s.
They're football, man.
Yeah.
Any place where you get to the airport and you get in the transport, and then all the little pre-recorded announcements about where you are and where you're going and everything are all, ex Steelers coaches and players. And
really?
Yeah. And then you get in the airport and there's like Franco Harris statue. Then there's like a big thing where you put your face in the, amongst the three Steelers, and it's just black and gold everywhere, right? They flipping love the Steelers. I remember the bus was, God, he had such light feet for such a big bloke, the bus, and he was so wide. Yeah. Bettis was like 5 feet wide. And he had the biggest shoulder pads, proper old school shoulder pads as well. He looked like he was wearing like 1970s linebacker pads.
One of the things I like about the Steelers as well, isn't they only had 3 head coaches in the last 40, 35 years, something like that.
Cowher, Knoll, and
Tomlin. I think they've had just like incredible stability. We talk about the same thing. Such an unstable landscape. They've had kind of incredible stability at head coach, and it does seem like Tomlin might be coming to the end of his run there, and that'll be fascinating to see. The other thing I think,
which links into Sam and links into what Gareth was saying, there's a very strong identity to Steeler football.
Yeah,
you know what sort of football they want to play and what the crowd want to watch.
Yeah,
and I don't know whether the Jets have got that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of teams haven't got. Like, you'll know when you turn up in Pittsburgh, they sort of embrace the weather, they embrace the industrial heritage. It's not industrial
smash mouth football, isn't it?
Yeah, they just love it. Get your big bratwursts and your big beers and go and watch the
great.
Go and watch the Steelers play. And Chicago's the same sort of place,
Yeah.
And you know what Chicago football looks like.
Yeah.
Oh, I do love the NFL, Tom.
It's good. It's good, isn't it?
Isn't it? I enjoy it. I like it.
I know. Basically, guys, we're enjoying this podcast, and so we're glad you are as well, because if you weren't there listening, we probably would be doing this anyway.
Well, I went to Pittsburgh. I told you before, I wanted to see the Packers play in Pittsburgh, and that's a great stadium. The new place. I never went to Three Rivers. I wish I had gone, but the new place is a cracker. Absolute cracker of a stadium. Well, and the one corner, there's this huge spiral walkway up the concourses.
Oh yeah,
where everyone just stands around. You know, it's a bit like that bit in Dallas, but you can stand at a Steelers game. It's like being an old school football ground over here. You know,
brilliant. Yeah.
The Packers have areas in Lambeau Field where you can meet and stand around and watch a game.
Great,
I love that.
Yeah, great.
Roll on Sunday, mate. Roll on Sunday.
Oh, I know. Let's go on to this week's topic because it did make me think a lot about about Ben Johnson, who's now the head coach of the Bears and was the head coach of the Lions, because I do think, the whole Greatest Show on Turf, and Mike Martz was the offensive coordinator who became a head coach. Ben Johnson really reminds me of that because he has that kind of same energy. But we're talking about today, we're looking at the St. Louis Rams and the QB, Kurt Warner. Some incredible narratives around this period. So, 1999 to 2001, he was at the Rams, and they were kind of. It was a dynasty that never was, wasn't it? At the Rams, because performance-wise, they've been
in the second Super Bowl. Yeah,
it's this incredible thing where, the Rams for these 3 seasons had what people described as the greatest offense that the NFL had ever seen.
Yeah.
Highest scoring, I think the first to do 3 seasons of consecutively scoring 500 plus points. No one had ever done that before. And, this kind of unstoppable offense, and they won a Super Bowl. But then in the second Super Bowl, they came across Bill Belichick and the brand new Tom Brady, and Bill Belichick, the best defensive mind, came along and kind of stopped it, and
which is what he's known for, which is what he
became the dynasty, yeah. And it was kind of like this, it's kind of there's this heartbreaking moment. I mean, we're skipping forward a bit now, but at the start of that second Super Bowl appearance, Kurt Warner looks down the camera of the lens before kickoff and says, "Tonight, a dynasty is born," and he's right. But it was the Patriots dynasty that was born, and they were so kind of on the cusp of this greatness. And
a quarterback from nowhere is going to establish a dynasty. Yeah, he is.
So it's kind of fascinating to see that. Like, oh yeah, you are right. A dynasty was born tonight, but it was Bill Belichick and the Patriots who were going to go on a run like no other. But yeah, let's talk about Kurt Warner, because it's a hell of a story, because he was undrafted. He wasn't. He
was unrecruited for college as well.
Unrecruited for college.
Yeah. He was a walk out of college, I believe.
27 by the time he made his NFL first start in the NFL.
Well, he's a year older than me, Kurt Warner. He looks better, to be fair to him.
He's a good looking man.
He's 54 years of age, yeah. So as I got back into football in the 2000s, it was just on the end of this. So I don't remember watching him at the time at the Rams. I remember him after that, the Cardinals and that. But what a thoroughly impressive. Like my boy's into sport, right? 16 years of age, and he's good. And I do a show for BBC Wales where I meet my favourite rugby players, and I've met a lot of my heroes in rugby doing it. It all comes down to perseverance. It all comes down to dedication. And you can have as much talent as you like, right? Go back to Johnny Manziel, right? The boy oozed talent. Yeah. He had zero application, zero hard work, right? And he's a burnout. He's an absolute bust. Kurt Warner, at every stage of his career, got knocked back. Yeah. Comes out of high school, no one recruits him. Goes to college, he can't get a start in college. They finally start him in his senior year. He goes undrafted. He joins as a free agent, the Packers gets like a $5,000 sign-on fee. They cut him. He ends up literally working in a supermarket, stacking shelves, living in his wife's parents' place.
Yeah. And playing arena football, which is like an indoor. It's almost like five-a-side version. No, it's not five-a-side. It's kind of got walls, and it's kind of like an indoor.
Yeah, it's like a 50-yard field and
50-yard field, low rent version of the game, which I'd never seen before. I was interested.
Oh, you've not seen it?
No.
Oh, it had a bit of a heyday, arena football. There were various versions of it, but the Arena Football League. There's a few players came out of it into the NFL. The weird thing with the NFL, because you got practice squads and stuff, because there's no minor league like there is in baseball.
Yeah, of course.
I just imagine that so many players slip through the cracks, but with with Warner, because at 21, like, and he was saying, the coach was there saying he wasn't the finished article. Mariucci says he wasn't the finished article. You know, he wasn't close to it. He'd been, like I said, he's not recruited. He was undrafted. He didn't have a particularly good camp, because you need the experience, don't you? And those college seasons are so short anyway.
Yeah.
If you don't start till your final year of college, you might have only played 9 years of football in your life since you were 17 years of age, and now you're trying to get in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's bonkers, isn't it?
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
That's why the World League, when NFL Europe / the World League, that was an interesting experiment, because it was backed by the NFL. They wanted that sort of like a farm league, and players came out of that into the NFL. Not many, but they did, you know. And arena football sort of filled a bit of a gap as well. But anyway, so you go to arena. He's such a humble bloke. He sort of said, "I'm too good for arena football."
Yeah.
And then he thought, "Are you though?" Because you're living in your in-laws' basement.
And you're stacking shelves at night. Yeah.
Swallow it. You know, swallow your pride. Get the hard work done. Do what you need to do to get to the next level. And then he just kept plugging away. But then he even when I didn't think he got the credit even when he won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You know, he goes with the Rams. It's a proper rags to riches thing with the Rams. He gets to the Rams.
So the Rams starting the Rams starting QB was going to be Trent Green, and they were going to build the offense around him. And he gets injured in pre-season, and you can tell nobody really is confident that Kurt Warner's going to be. I mean, like, the life of a backup quarterback is kind of crazy, because no one has confidence, even if they're half decent, no one wants to see your backup quarterback in there. And it does feel like there is such an insane drop off because of the amount of reps they've had and experience they've had on the field. It's a hell of a life being a backup QB. Hell of a life. But also, you can't blame those coaches for thinking that, because he says himself, like, he had bad camps. It was interesting with Dick Vermeil, and I really got a lot of time for him. I loved him when he was at the Eagles, right? But even when Warner thought he had a really bad camp and he'd blown it and that was his last chance, Dick Vermeil is the fella that takes a bit of a chance on him. He comes across as such a good bloke, Dick Vermeil.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, I learned about that at the Eagles. He was great at the Eagles. And
again, in terms of Cinderella stories and narratives, so he coached at the Eagles, Dick Vermeil, and then experienced like burnout, kind of essentially had a kind of breakdown really and couldn't coach anymore. Left the league for 14 years.
It's crazy, isn't it?
14 years away from the game, and then came back to take on the Rams.
He must. I don't know what he does. I know this doc's not the doc that I saw is not this year, you know, but Vermeil, it looks exactly the same as when he stopped coaching at the Eagles. Yeah, he just hasn't aged. But I think everyone who works with Kurt Warner talks about what a decent bloke he is. And there's things like that with coaches that really stick in your mind, you know, like they were saying he sort of knew his role was, obviously he had ambitions to be a starter, but he was a realist. He's 27. He's got no background. He's joined a team. You're going to be realistically the third string quarterback, right? And you end up winning the most valuable player in the practice squad every go, And the easiest thing to do there would be to chip and whine all the time. He didn't do that. You know, he waited for his shot, and then he got his shot and he excelled. And then when he got injured and they bring in the next person, he doesn't kick up a fuss about that. He gets on with it. He does what he needs to do. There's a bit there where he came in when he was at St. Louis?
Yeah.
When there was an injury to the starter. Because he went there, and this was a few years after the Super Bowl now, and he's not starting. And the starter goes down and is having a stinker of a game, right? He gets in and wins a game for him. And I think Larry Fitzgerald saying the defense are all over us. And then Kurt comes on. It's like the defense went on the field. He was just threading passes everywhere and scores 3 touchdowns. They win the game. At the press conference then, he says they need to stick with the starter quarterback.
Yeah.
They don't need a distraction.
He's the definition.
No one says that. No one says that in the NFL.
But this 1999 season, so he comes in, he starts the first game as backup quarterback. He's the first quarterback to ever throw 300 yards plus and 3 touchdowns in his first 3 games. So he throws 3 touchdowns each in his first 3 games. And by the end of the season, he's the Super Bowl and league MVP.
Yeah.
They go 13 wins that season. And that's a backup QB. It's one of the greatest Cinderella stories in the NFL. You know.
And do you know what? Marshall Faulk, who's good in this, in the doc who we watched, saying that leadership, and this goes back to the Johnny Manziel thing, right? I'm not picking on Johnny Manziel. He's got his issues. But real leadership is not about how well you can play. It's about how well you make everybody else play.
Yeah.
And he said he knows that some people need a slap on the butt and an arm on the shoulder. He knows some people need to be balled out. And you can see the way that he acted with Marshall. He said, I needed to be told what to do. And Larry Fitzgerald was the same.
Yeah.
You know, and he would adjust the way he spoke to people according to who that person was. And that's a big thing. I thought, I mean, you don't need the grief of that, I don't suppose, but I always thought that Warner would have gone into coaching when he finished, because I think he's obviously knows the game well as a quarterback.
Yeah.
He knows what it's like to have to dedicate yourself to stuff, because he's had to, nothing came easy to him. It's like when you look at our football over here, the best managers were players who had to really work at it and that adversity. So like, you know, Alex Ferguson and people like that, right? Obviously, he's got a league MVP, he's got a Super Bowl MVP, so he's the top of the tree, but he's had to work to get there. Nothing came easy to Kurt Warner.
No.
So I think, but what would have made him such a great coach is why I love listening to him on comms and when he's in the studio. I think he's great to listen to.
Yeah. So let's talk about. So before he moved on from the Rams, because he has got a second and a third chapter to his career, really, that is worth following through. But before that, let's just talk briefly about this greatest show on turf, because there was Marshall Faulk, running back, who was runner-up MVP every year because Kurt Warner was MVP. But there was Marshall Faulk, incredible running back. Then Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt, who are these kind of grease lightning wide receivers. And the greatest show on turf was this unstoppable offense for 3 seasons that Kurt Warner ended up being the QB of, started as a backup, and then it was like, oh, here we go, this is his offense now. And no one had ever seen anything like it. And the thing that it was they were a pass first offense.
Yeah.
And what, you know, from what I was like listening to, it was kind of, this offense was the blueprint for the NFL that we see today. This kind of pass first, kind of offense led. And I know it kind of goes in circles, but they were doing things like lining up on the first snap of the game with 5 wide receivers on the pitch. You had
run and shoot that before, and you know, you had people like Dan Fouts. Oh yeah, it was a bit different, I suppose, with Don Coryell. But then you had people like George Seifert at San Francisco, and that sort of, they call that West Coast offense, which is a similar sort of thing. Yeah. You know, crossing routes and maybe not the deep ball all the time, but yeah, pass first. But definitely, I mean, I'm not saying they started that style of play, but they certainly perfected that style of play.
Yeah, they evolved from like the Air Coryell and the West Coast offense. It was like another evolution on that.
Yeah.
And it was Mike Martz was the offensive coordinator, who was kind of seen as this kind of crazy genius, which is the same way that Ben Johnson's talked about these days with the Bears, is what, you know, I find quite an interesting parallel. But Mike Martz kind of, I think, whereas Ben Johnson seems to have taken very well to being a head coach, I think Mike Martz seemed to struggle with the man management side of things. And I think
didn't he sound really regretful? Didn't he? Yeah. I found that very poignant in this. Absolutely. And he's honest about it. He's not trying to make any bones about it. He says, I wish I'd been different. I wish I'd treated him differently. I wish we'd got a chance to work together. And that didn't happen. And
what could have and pretty much should have been a dynasty, really, when they look at that kind of, they got 2 Super Bowls in 3 seasons, and they were 14-point favourites to beat the Patriots, and Belichick did what Belichick does, and Brady was clutch and won his first Super Bowl. And as we've seen so often in these kind of things, age, injury, free agency, the team just dissipated, and you know what could have stayed and been great. It turned into this 3-season thing, and that was the end of the greatest show on
we
turf.
see these seasons like they had. We talked in the what's the team we were talking about the other week? They're sort of on the verge of it, but didn't quite happen.
The Panthers, with Cam Newton and the Panthers, we looked at.
Yes, Cam Newton and the Panthers, the same thing. Very similar sort of thing.
Yeah.
It just makes you realise how impressive what Belichick and Brady did.
Yeah.
Patriots. Puts it in perspective, because that was the same era. You haven't even got to compare different eras there. This is the same time.
Yeah.
The same
Absolutely.
salary cap, the same everything else.
And then Kurt Warner was kind of he was moved on, really, and I think part of it was that he seemed to clash quite a lot with the head coach, and the feeling around not winning that second Super Bowl. And as we said, like, he moved on to, speaking about like Eli Manning and the Giants, he was moved on there to be kind of that experienced ahead of Eli Manning, but then Eli Manning was brought in. He did a bit of the Seahawks.
He was early 30s. I mean, he wasn't like a 42-year-old Tom Brady.
No, yeah, I know. But then he ended up at the Arizona Cardinals and kind of had this brilliant kind of, again, and so close to being a complete kind of second Cinderella story, where
him and Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald is possibly the best wide receiver I've seen play football.
Oh, he was incredible.
For a couple of seasons, he was just something else. Like the catches,
unplayable.
Yeah, completely
unplayable.
You watch how many of these throw. What a dream for a quarterback. You'd see, and he was brave, Ward. He'd sit in the pocket there and knew he was going to get drilled. But he'd throw that ball into double, triple coverage sometimes. And Larry's coming up with the ball. What a player, man. What a player he was.
And in 2008, the Cardinals had I think they'd only been to one playoff game in 60 years by the time Warner was there and Fitzgerald had been drafted. And in 2008, Kurt Warner won the starting job again at the age of 37. So he is properly entering the autumn of his years. And they had this incredible partnership, Kurt Warner and Larry Fitzgerald, and went all the way to the Super Bowl. And this is the season, I think this is the season that we were just talking about, where the Steelers beat them in the Super Bowl. And it would have been an amazing kind of way for him to finish his career, and then a season later he'd retired. But there was, again, and this is where he comes across as such a kind of great leader and this kind of voice of wisdom. He said, like, having learned from that second Super Bowl defeat to the Patriots when he was with the Rams, he said to the Cardinals, let's not forget to celebrate the achievement of reaching a Super Bowl, of what we've done here. And we've lost a Super Bowl, but we have won so much this year, and let's celebrate everything we've achieved. And he really helped people like Fitzgerald put it into perspective. Yeah. In a very inspiring way.
It's amazing how many times you see a team lose a Super Bowl, and it's almost worse than not making the playoffs, the way that they react to it. You think, it's almost like you start the next season on a downer because you got beaten in the Super Bowl, where you should be thinking, we were the second best side in the NFL.
Yeah.
And we're going to try and get first this year.
And we, in these cases, and it happens so often in the Super Bowl, you are one play away. Like so many Super Bowls hinge on one moment or who gets the last drive in that fourth quarter. Those Super Bowls, the classics that go to the end, you are one play away. You're one decision away. You're one stretch of the ball away. You're 2 yards short of the line.
It's 4 inches, the width of a goalpost sometimes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it.
And we should, by the way, we can't do a Christmas time podcast, Tom, without reference to the fact that what a good bloke he is. So his wife's on there. She plays quite heavily in the doc I watched. And they're at a dance. He's like 21 years of age. They're supposed to dance and then change partners, but they enjoy dancing together. So they dance all night. At the end of the night, then he goes to give her a kiss, and she says, "Listen, no, I'm a single mum. I've got 2 small children. One of them's disabled, and I don't want. They don't need this." And he turns up at the house then the next day. The kids love him.
Yeah.
He adopts the 2 kids. The kids obviously adore him. He's now got 7 kids. They got 5 more kids. I just think bloody, and his wife. We're both married men, Tom. Wouldn't you love your wife to speak about you the way that Kurt Warner's wife speaks about him?
I might make my wife watch that documentary actually and say, look,
watch this bit, Cal. Is it that hard? Yeah, she absolutely loves him, Cal. She's so grateful.
That bit where she's saying he's the best man she's ever met and he makes the world a better place. Would it kill you? Would it kill you? Huh? But the way he talks about his son and the work he's done, the charity work he's done with children with special needs, it was a really emotional watch, and he comes across as such an inspiring guy.
The world needs more of Kurt Warner, isn't it, mate? That's for sure.
Totally, yeah. And there's this incredible moment in the doc where it's when he's on his way to his 3rd Super Bowl with the Cardinals at the end of his career, and his wife writes him a letter from the perspective of their son with special needs. And God, there's not a dry eye in the house. I was having to wipe the old eyes on the train last night because it's a powerful watch. And
what it's called, if you've got, it might be on YouTube, but it's on DAZN and NFL Network. It's Kurt Warner, A Football Life. They're great, those Football Life docs. That's well worth a watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. And there's a great documentary on there as well about the Great Show on Turf that's absolutely worth watching as well. It's fascinating. So I loved looking into that. That was great. And the Rams, I mean, obviously the Rams are the LA Rams now. But
my son's favourite team.
Well, they're a great franchise. I mean, they're a good-looking franchise. Those shirts and helmets are amazing.
First team with a logo, mate.
Really?
On the helmet. Yeah. They had a player playing from back in the day in the 50s, I think, when it was the old leather helmet days. And he took his helmet home after practice and thought of it. They were the Cleveland Rams at the time, and painted a pair of ram's horns on the helmet. Came to practice the next day thinking he was going to get bollocked by the coach for painting horns on the helmet. The coach loved it and made him take all the helmets home and paint all the helmets.
That's amazing.
They were the first team with the logo on the helmet.
It's a good job they weren't called the Cleveland Cock and Balls, isn't it? Different story in that case.
Yeah. If you start a franchise called the Cock and Balls, I can help you out. That's what I'm saying.
So where have they been then? So just wrap up quickly though. The Rams, they went Cleveland.
They were Cleveland.
Then LA, then St. Louis, then back? Or
Cleveland, LA, St. Louis, LA, I think.
Yeah, they have been around. But it's great. Beautiful looking uniform, a great helmet, and on the cusp of another great team as well. They could be back at the Super Bowl this very season. Let's find out. Listeners, thanks so much for being with us at the start of this reboot of our journey. We love that you're loving the pod. We love putting it out. And have a great Christmas.
We'll be back after Christmas.
So keep spreading the word. Keep liking, keep subscribing, keep recommending, and of course, remember, don't be a dick.
Be a butkus. And it just leaves us with one more thing. Old Disneyland Waters. Nice and loud, please, Rhys.
I'm going to Disneyland.
Cheers, everyone. Merry Christmas.